Veritas cocked themselves by releasing this? Nope, because chances are less than 1% of the people that even click on this video are actually going to listen to the entire thing. Most people will just run with the Project Veritas narrative, right? They're going to take quotes out of context and be like, oh, this is evidence of that, whatever, because they don't actually understand what this investigator is doing. So they're just taking out like the things that make it sound like he's trying to like get the guy to lie or whatever.
The real complication for you comes in with this money, because we have to make sure that this money cannot be painted as ill-gotten.
Yeah, because it's, I mean, I didn't hear the whole conversation.
This is essentially like a full recant. Yeah.
You heard Weisenberg tell a supervisor they were backdating the ballots to make it appear they've been collected on November 3rd. You still stand by that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now he's totally changing it. Yeah. Can you give a quick summary of what we're listening to? So Project Veritas supposedly identified a guy that says that he was asked to like post-date ballots or something, which would be illegal, that like they'd received ballots too late, but he was like dating them, or not post-date, predate, I guess, ballots. So they'd received ballots late, but he was told to lie and make it so the ballots look like they'd come in earlier. And this is him going to the Inspector General of the USPS, I guess, where they're doing an investigation to figure out if this has happened. It was reported that he essentially recanted his statement, but the Project Veritas people are like, no, he didn't actually recant.
You have full authority to tell me anything you want to tell me, from get lost to whatever else. I'm literally going to be here in your corner, okay? But we have to start from the same page.
Just as like an aside, guys, no one is ever in your corner when it comes to like this, okay? That guy is not in this dude's corner. His goal is to figure out if anything right or wrong, or if any improper activity happened, and if it didn't happen, he's here to figure out if this guy lied about it. That's the investigator's goal here. They'll always tell you that they're on your side or whatever. They're not on your side. I would never do a conversation like this without like a fucking lawyer present or some shit. But I'm not on the side of like the Project Veritas guy or any dumb shit or voter fraud or anything like that. I'm just saying that in general, typically you don't want to talk to some guy that's doing an investigation like this. Like, if you have the option to have a lawyer present without getting fired, do that.
But one option I have, so that we have more in your corner, is a polygraph. Okay? I'm putting that aside right now. I want you to understand that. If you and I decide to go down that road, I will at length talk about it with you.
I've been polygraphed before.
That's okay. That's good. Okay. I am a polygraph examiner.
It was when I went to apply for the police department. If you're just wondering, when I was in Texas.
That's all right.
It wasn't because I was in trouble.
No. Listen, the way I am a polygraph examiner, and the way I view the polygraph is it's more used to get people out of trouble than into trouble.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean by that? Mm-hmm. And so my question when you said that wasn't, what did you do? My question was, did it help you?
When an investigator is talking to you, okay, I just want to be ultra razor clear. I'm sorry, because it's gonna sound like I'm coming out in favor of like Project Veritas and against the investigator guy, but I'm just general advice, okay? His goal is to make you seem as friendly as possible. Whenever a cop or whenever somebody like this is talking to you, they're always trying to say like, oh, just tell me what happened. Like, all I can do is help. Like, all I can do is make this better for you. Like, if you just tell me what's going on, like, I can help this, I can help you. Like, that's always their goal, is that, because they want you to say as much as possible, but that's never true. If you're being talked to by a cop who's saying shit like, all I can do is help you, and you're not in trouble, the only thing he can do is get you in trouble. That's all they can do. If they had enough to get you in trouble, you would already be in trouble, okay? Cops don't go to you and ask you to incriminate yourself because they can already incriminate you. They do it because they're trying to get something out of you, right? Just saying.
I'm going to do a couple things with you right now, okay? I'm going to bring you into this next room with me. It's a mess right now because I haven't done setting up. But if you will give me the respect to allow me to set up in front of you instead of just sending you off to get you again, then I will give you the respect to give you as much time as you need to discuss whatever you want to, and we'll get, like I said, my goal today is to get the absolute narrowest truth that nobody can chip away at.
Okay.
Because you more than I know how this is just going and going and going, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back to this room. Do you mind if I call you Richard? Is there something?
Alex.
Alex.
Everybody calls. I mean, everybody knows my first name, but I actually go by my middle name, which is whatever.
Okay.
Well, that came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah.
I wish I would have called you that on Friday.
Well, I mean, everybody's going to know me by my first name. And it's kind of funny because my grandfather's also a Richard Hopkins, and he goes by Skip. So he was a cop here in Erie.
I have a cousin that goes by Bubba, so nothing surprises me.
Is it all right if I call you Alex?
That's fine. Go ahead.
I will call you, whatever you want me to call.
This feels like it feels like this is like 101, like get the guy to be friends with you, share some personal stories, like bro, like we could go down this route. I could give you the poly, but we don't want to do that. Like nobody wants to do that. Like let's just chat, like get it all out. We'll clear your name and be done with this. Like
Call you. But if Alex works for you, I will call you Alex. Alex, when you spoke with Agent Klein last week, Friday, did you fill out any forms?
No, I don't think we did.
Okay. So I have a few forms that we have to fill out.
Right.
Okay. And I made a promise to you to be upfront with you, right? So one way, again, I will prove that to you is before I ask you to fill out any form, you and I will go through the entire form together. So there's not one word that I'm like glossing over or anything. You're going to know exactly what's on the form. The main form I have to fill out, basically, if you're watching TV, it's your rights.
Yeah.
Right? And what your rights mean on TV is, oh, you're being arrested. That's not what rights are
I
anymore.
understand that.
What your rights are, they basically say you're an American citizen.
Mhm.
And if you're an American citizen, you have inherent rights. And one of those rights that the courts have decided is if somebody presents themselves as a person of authority and they want to speak to an American citizen, that American citizen needs to know that he doesn't have to say anything if he doesn't want to say anything. That American citizen has to know that if he wants to get up and walk, he's allowed to get up and walk. And that's what the rights are. Okay, so I have to fill out that paperwork because A, it lets you know what your rights are, but B, it sort of protects my behind to say, yeah, I actually told him what he was allowed to do in this time. Okay, so before we fill anything out, if you have any questions on what you're filling out or what I say, you ask that. I'm not going to ask you to sign anything until you know what you're signing and you're comfortable with what you're signing. Is that
I
fair?
understand.
Okay.
So are you with the Postal with them, or are you FBI, or what are you?
I am not FBI.
I know the FBI is supposedly involved in this one.
I heard that as well.
Yeah, I just recently heard
So-
that.
So here's what we've got with that, okay? I want to sit with you, but I don't want to hover over you. Thank you. All of that comes down to a term called jurisdiction. Okay, and jurisdiction is a slippery slope that nobody can define. Okay,
I understand.
All jurisdiction does is it identifies the entity that basically is head of whatever situation it is. Okay, and right now you are Postal, which means the Postal Service Office of Inspector General has jurisdiction.
Gotcha.
FBI does not. Now, as the wind blows, so does jurisdiction, and that could change. But right now, nobody can do anything.
I just got banned from
as
Hasan's
long as we're
Discord
talking.
server.
Because
Why?
we have jurisdiction, and
Good
in that I'm going to answer your next question. My paycheck comes from the United States Postal Service Office of Inspector General.
Gotcha.
That's where my paycheck comes from. I do not work with these guys. I do not even live here. I drove in yesterday from New York City.
Okay.
Okay, so if that lets you know, I am not part of this investigation. I am literally here to see what I can do, as I laid out before, so that we have a very finite situation that anyone who wants to throw stones at are going to have a very hard time. Okay, is that cool with you?
I understand.
Okay, let me do this, and then I don't have to worry about talking to you about anything because my butt's covered. Fair?
Good to go.
Okay, thank you. You're being very.
Like I said, I went to go to the police department. I also did go to college. I went to college for criminal justice. So some of the stuff I already kind of understand.
Okay. If I'm saying something you already know, one of two things is going to happen. You can say Russ shut up, and Russ will shut up, or I'm going to say it anyway, just so I know that we're on the same page. Is that all right with you?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I'm going to have you fill out this first part. I'm just going to have you write your name. I'm going to have you put Richard, but you can put Alex after it since I'm going to call you Alex. Okay?
Okay.
Oh, you're a lefty.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Socialist.
Deep breaths. In this room, we're okay. All right?
That means you're not okay.
Okay. So the way I do these forms, some people just hand them to you and say, you need to initial all those. I don't like doing that. I like going through the form with you so you know what I'm asking you to sign.
Roger.
Like I said, all this is telling you that you're an American citizen.
How did they get this
So
recording?
that you know-
The guy under questioning right now is illegally recording. I imagine. I think it's illegal. I don't know if it's a one-party or two-party state. It could be illegal recording. I
Okay.
guess.
As I read them, like this one, first one says, I have the right to remain silent I can't read upside down, if my answers may tend to incriminate me, right? Okay? All that means, literally, a lot of legalese, we hear it on TV all the time. All that means is, if you don't want to answer one of my questions, or if you don't want to say anything, you have the right not to say anything. That's all it means. If you want to be quiet, you can be quiet. So what I'm going to say is if you understand what that line means, I'm going to ask for your initials. And all your initial means is that you understand it.
That's just like basically saying the fifth in this situation.
Essentially, I mean, that's the TV way to look at it, but the fifth only comes into play if you're in court.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so anything I say.
Wait, did he say the fifth only comes into play if you're in court? I mean, you don't really plead the fifth, I guess. Like, but the concept is still there, right? Like, you don't want to incriminate yourself. But.
Due may be used against me in a court of law and in other proceedings, including administrative proceedings. Do you understand what that means?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if I say something incriminating, it can be used against me. I can get in trouble for it. Yeah.
If I refuse to answer questions because my answers may tend to incriminate me, I will not be disciplined solely on remaining silent.
Yeah.
Fair?
Understandable.
We're on the last one. This interview is strictly voluntary, and I may leave or stop answering questions at any time. Got it? Understand?
Yep.
Okay, now I'm gonna have you do your part, and that is, I would like you to read, no, don't sign it until you read this to me. Read it out loud to me.
I read the acknowledgement of rights or had it read to me, and I understand it as set forth above. No promises or threats have been made to me, and no coercion of any kind has been used against me.
Alex, I'm gonna ask you a question, and you are an intelligent person. I am not insulting your intelligence, I promise. You wouldn't believe the amount of people I sit down with who don't know what the word coercion means. Do you know what it means?
Yes.
What does it mean?
It means that you are kind of like verbally forcing me to do something that I
Right,
don't want to
exactly. It could be a positive or a negative, but it's forcing you to do it. For example, I could say, you're either gonna sign that form or I'm gonna break your leg.
Yeah.
That's coercion, right?
Yep.
Or I could say, you know what, Alex? You sign that form, I'll buy you a car. That is also coercion,
And
right?
bribery.
Right, right? But what you're saying by signing that is nothing like that's happening today.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, then go ahead and sign. Thank you very much.
I didn't think I would actually encounter this in real life, but black on black crime talking point is just a manufactured talking point, right? We don't actually study any other interracial crime, right? No, BLM has nothing to do with black on black crime. BLM has to do with police brutality against black people. You can talk about black on black crime if you want, but it's not part of BLM. Don't let somebody hijack it that way. Fuck. Okay, thank you. Remember, guys, if you're in a conversation like this, do not be afraid. I don't know why you would go through a whole conversation like this without your fucking lawyer present. Ask for a goddamn lawyer, because you don't know what you have to answer, what you don't have to answer, or like what you should say. Just get a lawyer, okay? I understand maybe this guy can't afford one, but like if you're facing some serious shit, guys, like it's always worth it to get a lawyer. You will save yourself so much money, time, hassle, trouble. Get a goddamn lawyer, okay? Jesus, fuck. It was voluntary. Any idea why he volunteered? The reason why he volunteered is because he was probably asked to. The issue is most people in the situation don't suspect that they're the target of the interrogation rather than an innocent witness. Yeah, well, but that's the problem, is that a cop isn't gonna tell you, we're investigating you, and anything that I ask you is gonna fuck you over if you give me the wrong answer. A cop is never gonna say that, right? It's always gonna be like, hey, can you come answer a few questions? We just wanna chat for a minute. Like, it's not a big deal, you know? If you don't wanna chat, you don't have to. But, yeah, like just hang out, let's talk for a little bit, and yeah, it'll be chill. And that's why people tend to volunteer. People tend to volunteer because they don't realize that they're on trial during every single conversation. You kind of are, you have to be really careful.
One.
What we got for time? 9:31. You already have that, and today's what is today? The 9th, yeah.
Do you wanna hop on the precinct station? Yeah.
Alex, thank you for putting up with this.
You're fine. I knew
have
something.
your signature, dude.
What? I have the worst handwriting ever, so.
I would say I want to give you a run for your money, but you win. Sorry, you win.
Also, these guys are not your friends, okay? Do not ever. They'll buddy with you. They'll be chummy with you because they want to make you relaxed so that you're willing to say more dumb shit to incriminate yourself, okay? These guys are always just trying to find something to incriminate you. That's what these conversations are about, okay? You have to be aware of this. Holy fuck.
At 932?
Yep. 0932.
I understand you were a Marine.
Yes.
I'm guessing this is a
Thank
one-party consent state. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe not.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, sir.
I was Air Force, so I got to fly over you. But
Oh, you were a pilot.
I was not.
But at the same time, if you're talking voluntarily to a federal agent and lying to him, aren't you fucking yourself? I don't know if you can make. I don't know if you can perjure yourself if you're not like under oath, if you're not signing something. I'm not 100% sure on that. It's a criminal offense to lie to a federal agent. That comes from Hexer and chat. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just repeating what I said.
pilot. I did
Aircrew?
intel.
Oh,
Is this
intel.
guy getting baited then?
Forward intel.
He doesn't know what these guys want. Yeah, he's hardcore getting baited. Well, it sounds like he is. Maybe he's actually like super smart and he knows he is. But it sounds like, yeah, like, oh yeah, like I'm not here to do anything bad. Like you're not in trouble, man. I believe you. I believe most of what you're saying. I just want to figure out exactly what our claims are so that we know 100% what we're talking about. But I believe you, dude. You know, this probably happened. Yeah, of course. Can you deny questioning from the FBI? Of course, 1,000,000%. The FBI asks you questions, you don't answer it, say, hey, you know what? I'm not comfortable answering that. If you want to continue to ask me, you can, but I want my lawyer present. Yeah, 100,000,000%. You might get arrested in certain circumstances depending on what's going on, but that's better than, it's better incriminating yourself. Tell them like, hey, we can chat for a little bit if you want. I don't feel comfortable answering anything though. I'm going to call a lawyer, just to let you know that I'd like it, blah, blah, blah. And then you skip all this bullshit, because holy fuck, having somebody trying to buddy up to you for a fucking hour just so that they can ask you the hard questions is... Surely he knows he's being recorded. He was asked to read out loud. Oh, well, he's the investigator is probably making a recording because I imagine they have to have this recording on hand. They can force you to testify with immunity. You must have to go through a lawyer first, though, no? Maybe. If you're being put through any of that crazy shit, though, like, you'll know about it. But if you just have a random dude talking to you... Destiny, can you please clarify, do you think the investigator is doing something immoral or just his job? The investigator is doing his job. His job is to figure out everything you know and maybe incriminate you. Like, yeah. That's the goal of the investigator right now. The investigator is doing a really good job, but like you should like be aware of your rights and don't be afraid to exercise them because they're going to exercise what they can do to the maximum all the time. Did the FBI actually check your computer for trouble? Fuck no, they don't need. They need like fucking warrants and shit for that. If the FBI wants to do an investigation regarding any devices you have, that shit is going to take months. I feel like I looked it up at one point in time, but I think they can hold your shit for like, is it like up to 2 years or 18 months or some shit? I'm not giving all my, and if the FBI were to raid your shit, they're taking every single device in your house. They'll take your phones, your laptops, your computers, anybody that lives with you. Your smart fridge, maybe.
Yeah, I was a 5952 navigational aids technician.
Yeah? How long were you in?
5 years in the Corps, and then I did 4 more in the Army Guard.
Good on you. Good on you, man.
Actually, you know Harvey?
Yeah, Moot's oven.
The Harvey hurricane? I was down there.
Were you really?
How would you deal with a copy of your arrest here? Just go to the
that was
precinct, don't say
before I
anything, wait
moved
for a lawyer.
here. Yeah, we went down there and we were like doing rescue ops and everything, cleaning up.
Yeah, that's no joke, man. That is no joke.
They said it was the largest Texas deployment ever since World War II.
Okay. I have one other question to ask you, and that is because there's so much confusion going on with your state and the Postal Service state and Lindsey Graham's state and all that stuff.
awesome.
Okay. You said that you had been contacted by the Trump campaign lawyers.
Yes.
Have you been contacted by any other legal entity?
No.
Have you contacted any legal entity?
No. Just through Veritas. Veritas says that in case there's anything that happens, they have lawyers on retention for me.
Okay. But you have not spoken to a lawyer?
Outside of just doing the affidavit, the Juviet,
Pepe
Explain
the
that.
Frog is
the
the victor.
Juvat, or whatever it is. When I did my affidavit, they wanted to make sure it was
Let me ask you a question this way. Okay. And there's a reason I'm asking that because I'm protecting your rights.
Jurat. That's the word.
Okay. When you did that affidavit with them,
Mhm.
is it safe to say that those lawyers were representing them? And you were just part of that?
The actual notarization.
Oh, he's trying to get this guy to trust him. The investigator is trying to get the interrogatee, I don't know how you count him, he's trying to get this guy to trust him more than the Veritas lawyers. This is good. This is a smart picture. Yes, I'll put the picture in picture so you can see their unmoving faces. Sure thing, my dude. I got it. Don't worry. He's trying to get him to trust, he's trying to get the guy that he's questioning to trust him more than his lawyers, which is, yeah.
Boy, enough legalese, right?
I actually enjoy learning about legal stuff.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then sit
I'm
back.
a weirdo. I like
back,
to learn
brother, because
stuff.
you're about to look. No, I'm kidding.
It's the reason why I went into criminal law. I actually took a lot of psych because I wanted to be like,
A lot of it is psych.
Like you.
I know. It's interesting.
This is so meta right now.
All right. Are you comfortable?
For the most part, yeah. I'm still nervous as hell. Like,
You're
my
allowed
body's
to be
still
nervous.
shaky. So that's why I'm like, oh.
Nerves don't bother me one bit. I think that I would be more concerned if you weren't nervous. Okay? So don't feel like you have to put up any front with me. If you are getting to a point where things are overwhelming, say, Russ, things are overwhelming. If you get to a point where you're like, my heart's beating a little bit quickly right now, can I have a minute? You ask that, okay?
Ask for a smoke break then. I'm a smoker, I'm sorry.
I'll give you any break but a smoke.
I know it's bad.
You're
It's
already-
bad for me. I'm
You're
killing myself.
already laughing at my joke, so we're already on a good start here. What's going on right now is you made a report to Project Veritas, right?
Mhm.
And then that has sort of grown its own legs, and it is going crazy. And I want to be very clear with you. What you are reporting, I am not condemning. Fair?
Yes.
I'm sure you've got a lot of condemnation, right?
Yeah.
And so what I want to be clear on is the sum total of what I've read that's been reported, and that's not fair because I've only gotten 100% of my information third party, right?
Mhm.
So that's not totally fair to you. But what I've gone through and what I've
No one can hear or turn the volume up?
did
Wait,
my
what?
little research on and whatnot is
Good luck.
my interpretation. This is me being upfront with you, not me putting you on the hot spot, but just me being upfront with you, is you have valid reason for your emotions. I think you and I are going to find out that we are pretty similar on some things, okay?
Mhm.
But beyond the core, I don't want to say this because I don't want to insult you, but I'm just going to insult you and then we'll deal with it later, okay?
Oh,
Beyond the core, there may have been a little embellishment. And I just want to make sure that there hasn't been, and I just want to make sure if there is, we get rid of that right now so that anything that goes on after this, like I said, is you're standing on solid ground. Fair? You understand where I'm coming from?
yes.
Okay. But I understand that everybody was called in for a meeting, and the meeting's topic was what to do on election mail. Was it after the 3rd or just the whole time?
What do you mean?
The meeting when the carriers were told to bring the election mail back and
Yeah.
put it, you remember, I guess.
Yeah,
it was
putting it, making sure that
Yep.
it gets given to the
I'm just
supervisor
turning off my
correctly.
water real quick, so we're not bothered. Sorry about that. Go ahead, tell me about that.
So all I know, well, it was like basically safety stand down. So if they go from, Stephanie went from each and every day, basically telling them, hey, make sure you pick up all those ballots. And she was also running around telling us that, you know, every vote counts kind of thing. And it was kind of weird the way that was going. And you can probably talk to other carriers that thought shit was weird. And then I'm sitting there and I was, like I said, I was the last one in the office. I'm one of the last ones in the office casing up my route, and I'm right near where they were sitting near the machines. And it was him and Daryl, and that's when I heard what I heard. And I'm just saying I heard something about one of the ballots not being marked the 4th and the rest being marked the 3rd. And that's why I said what I was like, that doesn't make any sense because this was the 5th that I'm hearing this.
Okay.
And they were talking about stuff from the 4th.
Okay. Best that you can do right now, and we're going to do some techniques that may seem silly, but some techniques that help the mind remember,
okay? But best you can do right now, and listen, dude, I know that you have been thinking this nonstop for like 5 days now. I get it, okay? But right now, at a starting point, tell me exactly, not interpretation, exactly what you heard. And if you heard some words clearly and some words not, that's fine with me. But right now, let's get exactly what you heard.
Okay.
Look at me for a second.
That's what I'm trying to think.
We're good, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. We're I just want you to know we're good, okay?
All right. The one I know for sure, like I said, I just happened to peek out at the end of it. They saw me, so they walked away afterwards.
So we're gonna rewind 30 or 90 seconds before that.
Okay. I'm sitting there casing, and I overhear something about the fourth ballots that were picked up on the fourth.
So you heard the words fourth ballots, or
The ballots picked up on the fourth.
ballots picked up on the fourth. That's what you heard?
Yes.
Okay. And
then I heard them say that one of them was marked the fourth and the rest were the third. That's the only words that I can remember specifically out of that conversation. As soon as I heard that, I popped my head out because it freaked me out. I looked to see who it was. I saw the two of them. And then Rob actually looked directly at me, and then they walked away.
okay. I want to do a field trip real quick.
Okay.
Do you mind if I walk with you to your casing station? Do you mind if we do that?
Sure.
Can we do that right now? Is that going to make you feel uncomfortable at all?
So you learn this if you're dealing with people with Alzheimer's. These are good strategies. So the way that the memory works is we have a bunch of neurons that form these little connections to each other that are all associated with different forms of sense data. So when you try to when you try to recall a memory, you're trying to like activate little clusters of neurons that like stimulate your mind in a way that you can kind of remember the sense data that you'd received before, basically. So for instance, they're linked together like this. A lot of people view the mind as like a computer that kind of like recalls information saved to a disk as a bunch of bytes or whatever. That's not how the mind works at all. We have a bunch of vague associations that form these little clusters of neurons. One of the reasons why this is valuable is like if you have somebody with Alzheimer's and their memory is starting to lapse, one of the ways that you can help people with Alzheimer's not feel as confused or lost or depressed is you can try stimulating other senses that might activate those little clusters of neurons that help them recall memories better. So for instance, if you've ever had an experience sometimes where you walk into a room and you smell something, that might just jog completely randomly, like, oh shit, this smells like like when grandma used to bake, and now I can remember like this whole room and house that before I thought I'd lost the memory completely, but because I jogged that memory via like smelling something, oh shit, like I recalled so much more information than I had before. With people with Alzheimer's, they especially say that like sweets or like cookies or whatever, I don't know why it's that in particular, can jog memories too. That like if you taste something, this reminds me of this particular thing. Or if you hear music, you can hear like an old song that might remind you of like a school dance, and then you remember a bunch of things that way. There's a lot of, even if part of your hippocampus, I think, is what gets choked off and dies when you have Alzheimer's, even if you're losing certain neurons that might help you access some like cluster of memory or whatever, there are other ways that you can get to it sometimes by like jogging other types of senses that might be associated with those memories. So what he's trying to do right now is effectively that, like, hey, let's go walk through your room, and let's just go look at some things, and maybe that'll jog your memory better. If you've heard me, I do this as a conversational tactic sometimes when I talk to people. I say tactic, but like if you've ever heard me do this on stream, sometimes I'll be talking to somebody and they'll say, they'll say something, and then I'll go to say something, like, oh, go ahead, and then I'll talk, and then when they go to talk, they'll be like, fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say. Usually what I'll do is I'll just start saying like, oh, I was talking about that, then I said that, then I said that, then I said that. More often than not, if I just say something previously that they'd heard while they were thinking of what they were gonna say, they'll be like, oh yeah, I remember what we're gonna say, even if it's not related at all. Does that, you've probably heard me do this at least once on stream before, where somebody's like, oh, I forgot what I was gonna say, and then I'll immediately just say like, oh, well, I talked about this and that and that and blah, blah, and then usually the person will remember. People will be surprised at how much they can recall given a totally like disconnected piece of information. If you want to try this yourself, Something, if you've ever done this, if you've ever thought like, oh fuck, like I was gonna look something up, I was gonna look up like a movie or something, but I forgot because I'm browsing Reddit. If you just scroll up to see posts that you'd previously seen, even if they're not related at all to what you were gonna look up, just seeing a prior post can sometimes jog your memory. Like you'll see like a cat and you'll be like, oh shit, I was gonna look up like that one scene with Tobey Maguire or some shit like that. And then you'll remember what it was, even if it's totally unrelated, because this is how memory works as humans. It's nothing like a computer. It's a totally different type of system. That's what this guy is trying to do right here. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
No, I just don't know if, I mean, they might, no, they're probably still, no, there's nobody left in there probably at this point.
Okay. Tell me if that makes you uncomfortable.
No.
Okay. I'm more concerned about you than this, but I do want to go see this, okay?
Okay.
Do you mind doing this with me?
And you want me to tell you exactly where they were in proportion? Okay.
That's the whole purpose.
There you go.
Let's put a mask on and go out there.
So how loudly would you say they were talking?
Like an average conversation like you and me, yeah.
Like this? So, and this is not me being slippery, okay? But what we just did there, and I spoke like this, the first time I said anything, you could not hear me, okay?
Barely, yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, when we're going to specific words, I want to know exactly what words you know you heard versus you didn't hear.
Okay.
Because someone else is going to come here and say, that distance in this dead air, you would not be able to hear what you heard. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. When you poked your head around, what happened at that point?
Rob looked over and saw me.
So his back was to you.
Yes.
And who was here?
Wait, no. Flip.
That's okay.
Daryl, Rob was right there. Daryl was here.
Rob was here. Daryl was there. And Daryl turned and looked at you? Or?
No, Rob did.
So he didn't have to turn.
Yeah, he just had to look.
He just looked at you. And at that point, what happened?
They walked away.
This way? Is his office this way?
Yeah, it's actually in the back there.
Okay. I don't want to put you on display anymore. We can go back. This is just sort of what I wanted to get from my head. Cool?
All right.
All right.
Sorry.
You're okay. Do you understand what I'm doing?
Yeah, you're trying to gauge like how loud they would have had it spoken, how far away they would have it was
I'm
to be able to hear.
gauge what's going to be terminated.
So what he's actually doing is he's trying to see if it's possible that this guy could have actually heard with sufficient clarity what he claims to have heard. That's what he's trying to do right now, right? He's trying to figure like, you're saying that you heard some pretty exact, precise words. Well, you were here, they were there. If I speak at a normal voice, can you actually hear what you claim to hear? That's what he's actually trying to establish right now.
Gotcha.
Okay? Because here's the deal. Here's the absolute deal. And this is why I already like you, because you're a Marine and you know what integrity is, right? If they're able to put doubt on something that wasn't 1,000% true, right? They're going to put doubt on everything that you say.
I understand.
And I don't think that that's fair.
Yes.
Okay? And that's what I'm talking about. Let's shave it down. Let's shave it down to what we know 1,000% is true.
Okay.
Thank you for doing that with me.
That's fine. Even though all the supervisors were sitting there staring at us.
I know, I didn't know they would be there. I'm so sorry. I should have said something loudly like, man, you are a great employee, or something like that.
All right.
But you see why I did that, right?
Yes.
Because
To get a feel for where it is, what the situation was.
you have
No.
a claim that you're allowed to be passionate about. Okay? That's what I'm trying to stress to you. You're allowed to be passionate about what you think was happening with ballots. Okay?
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay? Your choice, which is also valid, was to go outside the Postal Service
Because I didn't know who to trust.
to report it, right? This claim, which I think is an important claim, starts to go down to an integrity question.
Yes.
You already have major integrity points because you and I both served this country, which means I know you love this country. And not only did you just serve this country, but then you re-upped in the Army Reserve, you said, right?
Army Guard.
Army Guard, my bad, I'm sorry.
It's all good.
But that shows service. That shows kind of what's going on in here. Okay? And I'm going to talk about me for a second, so the spotlight's not always on you.
All right.
But if you're anything like me, Alex, you know, I serve this country because I love this country.
Exactly.
I serve this country because this country is the best country in the world, right?
Exactly.
I serve this country because this country actually shows us how things should be done. You agree with all that?
Yeah.
And I believe in protecting all that. You agree with that?
Yes.
Right.
And I believe in protecting the vote. I mean,
absolutely. That's where I'm going. I am the weird person. And I'll say it's weird because none of my family understands me.
I don't care who wins.
But I'm the weird person. I don't care about jury duty. I actually, when I'm called up for jury duty, I go and I do it. And I don't because, I do that because, to me, the very fabric of what makes this country is so important. And if I have to give up a day to sit in a room
And listen to a
because
bunch
it's
of
my
craziness.
civic duty means something to me. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And so, because that means something to me, I completely understand.
How hard or how easy it is it to actually recognize when these tactics are used against you? If you know what to look for, it's really easy. But if you're just like a normal human being, which most people are, just like normal people or whatever, then it's very easy to just be total. There's a reason why police officers use these tactics, is because it's very easy to catch somebody without having any idea what's going on.
Feeling like if jury duty is the fabric of this country, what makes that fabric is the democracy, and the democracy doesn't.
Are you not hearing too in his tone that the postal guy is purposely going along with the interrogator? He could be. It's hard. That's impossible to say. It's possible that like maybe the postal service guy is actually like pretty smart and he knows what's up. It's possible. It seems unlikely, but it's possible. But I don't know.
Exist without the vote. That's how important the vote is, right? I don't care who wins or loses. All right. Personally, I care who wins or loses. Right. Russ cares who wins or loses. But when I go out my front door and I put on my either back then it was my Air Force cap or now it's my special agent jacket, then I am an agent of this great country, right?
Yes, sir.
And so I don't care who wins. I want it to be done correctly.
Exactly.
And if somebody's going to try to wiggle around that or nudge it or grease it in any way, I take great exception to that.
And that's how I feel also.
And that's what I'm glad to hear. That's what I'm getting from you. That's the vibe I'm getting from you. And what I can say is, if you are like me on that, I understand. I understand where you're coming from. And I don't want to take that from you. I don't want to extinguish that light at all.
Yes, sir.
I am with you 1,000% on that. But what I need to be clear on, I need to be absolutely clear on before we leave here, is exactly what the basis was for this, okay? Because if it's those specific words, which were across the room in dead air when they were speaking in normal tone, I need to make sure that is that what this entire allegation is based on, or is it more their actions? Because what I understand, and if you don't know anything about this, you tell me, but what I understand and what actually makes me question what's going on in this building is he actually was having ballots collected.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, he was having us collect the ballots up till the 6th.
Okay.
That was one of the things in that safety meeting before we left, is we were collecting the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th.
Okay. So let me rewind again, and then we're going to come right back to this. I'm leading the conversation.
I'm seeing parallels between this and the therapists I've heard speak. Well, yeah, because the goal of either side, a therapist and an interrogator, is to make you trust them. That trust has to be there before any meaningful conversation can take place. The difference is that a therapist is trying to help you. They're trying to disarm you, because normally we're defensive about our feelings. Normally we can be, especially if we feel like we're talking to somebody who's trying to tell us we're wrong. Normally we're very defensive, but you want to make somebody not defensive. So the goal is to like be your friend, to like build some camaraderie. You want to build some rapport there. A therapist is going to be very similar to an interrogator, but ideally an interrogator or a therapist is trying to help you. An interrogator is trying to pin something on you. That's the difference.
What you overheard for a second. We'll come back to that. But I want to focus on this safety meeting, because what I'm really interested in is him.
It was Stephanie that was giving us the safety.
Thank you for doing that. But is it Rob who?
I'm pretty certain. No,
tell me.
Stephanie said we were to give the ballots to our supervisor, this closing supervisor, at the end of the day.
Who is your closing supervisor?
At that time, it was Chris.
Chris, okay. And just for my benefit, who is Steph?
Stephanie, I don't know her actual position. I think she's somewhere like, you know about Stephanie, but I'm not sure what she does.
Okay.
She's like a postmaster assistant or something.
Okay.
You can never really tell with the postmaster and Stephanie on who is one and actually in charge of this place.
So Stephanie ran this safety.
Yeah, she's the one that went to each and every bay, letting them know.
So it wasn't a big group that you all went and sat in a room.
No.
She had an individual meeting with each person. Is that
No, she went to each bay.
Each day. Okay.
Each bay and was at the 10s and 11s, the 9s and 8s. Then you have the 7s and
So
the
when
2s.
she spoke to you, how many other people were there?
Well, you saw that area that we were in, where those cases were. All those cases.
How many is that?
20 or so.
Like 20? Okay.
And she went to each bay, letting them know, pick up all these ballots.
What did she say specifically? What did she say? And when was this?
This was on the 5th because
This was on the
I
5th.
called off on the 4th. So yeah.
Okay, you didn't work on the 4th.
No, that's why the 4th thing, overhearing the 4th thing.
Right.
I know I heard the 4th, and I know I heard one ballot was marked the 4th. That's the only thing I can be very specific at this point right now because it's been.
Yep.
You're making me question myself at this point.
You know what I'm supposed to do.
Okay.
That's my purpose here.
Okay.
I'm not. Well, I am actually. I am trying to twist you a little bit because in that, believe it or not, your mind will kick in.
Okay.
We like to control our mind, and when we do that, we can convince ourselves of a memory. But when you're under a little bit of stress, which is what I'm doing to you purposely, your mind can be a little bit clearer. And we're going to do a different exercise too to make your mind a little bit clearer. Okay.
Good to go.
So, but this is all on purpose. Okay?
Roger.
So, on the 5th, Stephanie comes by your bay,
Yes.
and what does she say?
She says that we need to collect all.
As word for word as you can do it. Okay.
Oh man.
As you can. This is not.
Make sure to collect all the ballots that you find on the street. Every vote counts. It's very specific on that part.
On the 5th, she's saying.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
She would run around and saying, make sure to get them ballots. And that was like a big deal with it. She was running around.
So when cops are talking to you here or when you're being interrogated, one thing that people are trying to do is people are trying to establish some sort of timeline. They're trying to get you to admit to some particular story. And when I say admit, I don't mean that negatively, but to establish some timeline. And then when they come back and they question you, they're looking for inconsistencies. And the idea is that the idea is that how long am I going to float here? If you're inconsistent on something, when they catch you in that inconsistency, that's when you break. Because the assumption is that you're probably lying about something, and as soon as I can identify, well, hold on, you said this, but you also said this. These two things contradict each other. As soon as you run into that contradiction, you're going to feel incredibly stressed, and then you're going to start to talk a lot more, and that's usually when the truth is going to come out. Is what's going to happen if you are in fact lying. Is as soon as that inconsistency is identified, you're going to start talking a lot. Yeah.
You also said something about having to turn them into.
Oh yeah, turning them into the supervisor, which was already a thing that we were doing prior to the election being over. It was, you bring them in, you give them to the supervisor, he puts them in a special thing, they take it to the county.
Okay. Did she say?
How do they differentiate lying between a person just misremembering? Well, it's going to depend on what exactly it is you lie about. And it's going to depend on how particular your lies are. So let's say, for instance, you fucked around with a girl last night or something, and and you're cheating on your wife or something, and then your wife is like, oh hey, where were you last night or whatever, and you give oh, I was at John's house 2 days ago or last night or whatever. If you give a particular lie like that, and then you have more of a conversation, I think using a vein monitor is really dangerous, huh? Then that kind of a lie is going to fuck you really hard because well, hold on, I know for a fact this isn't true. And it's oh shit, you're not misremembering at that point, right? But if you get a time wrong or something, that's not going to be as big a deal. This is suicide. Vein mining in the nether is probably suicide, isn't it?
Anything about postmarking?
No, because that's not our job.
Okay.
That is not our problem. Somebody else does that.
Have you ever postmarked anything?
No, I won't even know how to do it.
Okay. So then
she comes and does raw, go get the ballots.
Go get those ballots.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You're finishing your casing.
Mm-hmm.
Of the 20 people, I'm just using 20. It could have been 11, it could have been 29.
There was maybe 2 other people there. And they were they were behind me.
Okay. So there were probably 3 of you left. Right?
In that bay specifically.
In that bay specifically.
What would you guess actually happened in the situation? Do you think he's misremembering how things went down? Well, so there's 3 things that have happened. Either he's lying intentionally, or he genuinely misheard things, or this actually happened and ballots were being illegally pre-marked, postmarked. I don't know. It feels to me really hard to believe that if there was some massive election fraud or whatever going on, that somebody would be like this brazen about it. That's a really hard sell. Like, it feels like you'd be way more secretive about this kind of stuff. But hey, I mean, I don't know. People are dumb. It's possible. But I guess that's the point of these types of investigations, huh?
You are finishing your casing.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to do it again. Tell me what you heard, what made you pause, and then what happened when you stuck your head out. Okay?
Okay. I heard, specifically what I heard was 4th ballots picked up. And then I heard them say something about the markings being on the 3rd. 1 was the 4th. That's it. And that's when I poked my head out and went, what? I actually said, what? And that's part of the reason why Rob immediately turned his head and saw me, and then they walked away.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
The fire in your belly, okay, which I'm already validating. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The fire in your belly. As best you can answer, because you may say it's equal. I don't know. What stings you harder? Okay, this conversation you heard, or what they're doing by sort of segregating these ballots the way they're doing.
I would say the conversation, the fact that I heard that they're, based on my assumption on what I could hear, was that they were postmarking them the 3rd that were picked up on the 4th, and that immediately, because they're making this big deal about picking up these ballots. I'm not alone in feeling that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
That was a
Can
red
I tell you
flag.
you're not alone in feeling
That was a red flag to me, a huge red flag. And mind you, I voted for Trump, but I'm a libertarian. I voted libertarian across the board except for him.
We don't need to report that, by the way.
Oh, and that's not necessary. I mean, I'm just saying that for your understanding, that I am not specifically, like, I honestly told one of my liberal friends that works here, and I'm like, dude, I don't care who wins. If Biden wins, I'm going to laugh. I don't care. I just want it done properly.
Yeah.
Legally. There is a legal manner in this, and if we're picking up ballots, somebody's got a question.
I don't think he's
nobody
acting. I think he's.
Why are we doing this?
I don't think this guy's just acting.
And everybody, there was a bunch of people.
There's a lot of people that are saying.
Because I didn't specifically hear the whole story.
That's right.
I just heard a part of it, and I could have missed a lot of it.
You heard words which you and I both know probably go together in a very specific sentence.
Yes.
Right? But the reality of it, if I'm shaving away everything down to the narrowest truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reality is, please don't let me put words in your mouth. The reality is, you heard words and you assumed what they were saying.
My mind probably added the rest. I understand that.
No.
I understand how hearsay and listening.
You have to know it seems so basic, Alex.
He's getting really agitated. I don't think he's
And that's
faking
why I
any of
was
this.
really mad when I heard that people were giving Rob death threats, because that's fucked.
Yeah. It also doesn't paint you in a bad light. You understand that, right? What it does is it shaves this down to the narrowest of truths, which is the strongest of truths. And what I'm hearing you say, and I'm waiting for you to challenge me, okay? What I'm hearing you say is, you heard these words. And the words you heard was the 4th postmark. Most were the 3rd.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I can't even believe his questions earlier. In terms of whether or not the guy being questioned is like going along with it because he knows whatever, we know that he's not that smart because he's a Trump voter. So
1 was the 4th.
Yes.
right?
Those were the specific words
Those
that
were
I
the words.
remember real well.
And then when you pieced those words together, you assumed what they were saying was, the fourth, the mail on the fourth should have been postmarked for the third.
Yes.
That's what you assumed it meant.
That's what I'm figuring my mind probably
Yeah.
gone to. Because even I've been questioning it at this point. Because it's been so long and it's gotten me so freaked out.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm not trying to say that I don't want to be, I don't.
You know why it's okay to be freaked out? Because this has gotten out of everybody's hands.
I understand.
It's gotten so.
And all it
big.
is hearsay, and that's the worst part.
It's not even hearsay is the thing. It's an assumption. And that's the important thing. And if we characterize it as, this is what I thought those words meant.
If I
then
make a
there's no
pickaxe
way
head, can I
that
just combine that with my
it's
current
going to be
pickaxe?
Because that's very different than saying they said this,
Yes.
right? Because we've gone from painting
To fully
a
repair it?
bubble to being 1,000% in
Use
your
an ingot is
face
better? Oh, fuck.
accurate, right? You see where I'm going with that? And that's all I'm doing with that conversation. Is because we know it's hard to hear there. I'm not saying you didn't. I believe you did. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I believe you can hear there because your ears acclimate. But there's a lot of dead air there, which means if you would have said, I heard this word for word, and you would have given me a paragraph, I would have doubted you.
Yes.
Because I don't think that's possible.
It's not feasible.
When I said something in this tone to you, you didn't hear what I said.
Yes.
Right? So,
Veritas cocked themselves by releasing this? Nope, because chances are less than 1% of the people that even click on this video are actually going to listen to the entire thing. Most people will just run with the Project Veritas narrative. I doubt very many people are going to actually listen through this whole thing.
we've gone from
Much less, people also probably aren't going to understand what's going on here either, right? They're going to take quotes out of context and you're like, oh, this is evidence of that, whatever, because they don't actually understand what this investigator is doing. But they're Trump supporters. You can't expect much.
accuracy of the situation is you heard something that concerned you, and if
And
it
added
means-
with all the stuff
if
that
it
was being
means what you
brought.
assumed it means, it is problematic.
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Oh, shit.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I think we have a crusher.
I mean, added with how they were treating these ballots, I was picking up these ballots with what I had heard and the assumption based
we have an
on
arc furnace?
putting two to two.
The smelter already doubles
two and
it?
two together.
I'm gonna tell you why. One of the things I'm trying to protect.
Smelter does not double it.
Okay. There is money.
Tinker's already doubles? No, it doesn't. One cobalt ore makes one ingot. What are you talking
Broke
about?
on me. I can't even touch it.
That's okay, but your name is associated with it.
Yeah.
Okay? And if I'm not scaring you, but I am scaring you here, okay? If we are not 1,000% accurate with our honesty, and it can be argued that money was gained by, I'm going to say assumptions, they're going to say deceptions, that is, you could be held accountable for.
Understood.
And I am not going to allow that.
Okay.
That is why we are going to the exact words and the exact accuracy, because I'm not going to let you be put in that situation. Okay? Most people, and this is, let me tell you how you're impressing me on this, because most people would see dollar signs and be like, I'll say whatever the hell you want me to say.
Yes.
Okay? And what you just proved to me, that's not you. And I have to tell you, I respect you immensely. So thank you for being upfront with me.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I feel like the truth needed to get out. That's all. I wanted this investigation to happen. That's why I even came out the first time. I wanted to be anonymous. I didn't want to come out, but
You didn't want to be the face of this.
No,
Am I correct with that? But if what you assumed was true, your pride in this country can't let you not act. Is
Yes.
that also fair?
yes.
Okay. Okay. What would you say? I'm making, just so you know, I'm making this up. This is not reality right now. I'm making this up. This is a hypothetical. What would you say if it came out that Rob did not say that? He used those words, but he was actually saying something else.
I would feel fucking horrible.
Would you believe that? Would you believe it's possible?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
It's possible.
Okay.
That what I'm doing right now is I'm gauging your percentage.
So what the investigator's done through here is, so our initial claim was, I heard them say that they were illegally marking ballots in order to get illegitimate ballots counted basically as votes for, like, it'll be for Biden, right? Because of the mail-in ballot shit. And what the investigators got him to walk this back to is, okay, I heard them say some things. I didn't hear everything, okay? It's not like enough, there's not like enough clarity and with how far they were and everything. It's possible that maybe I heard them mention ballots on the 4th or whatever, and maybe it was like a different context. Maybe they didn't actually say, right? That's what the investigators got him to walk. So he's essentially recanted, basically. But they're gonna say it wasn't a recant, but like that's what he's got him to walk this back to. Yeah.
On how.
Like, I know I'm not perfect.
Exactly. Dude, I'm not perfect. Do you know how many people are perfect in this
It doesn't
building?
exist.
Nobody. Nobody's perfect. I have messed up. And it happens. What I am literally doing right now is I am keeping something at, it was an assumption, and keeping it away from, this is an integrity issue. I'm not gonna let your integrity be touched. And that's why I'm drilling you so hard. You with me on that?
I understand.
And then just to reiterate, the investigator doesn't give a fuck about this guy's integrity. He's just trying to figure out what the fuck actually happened. That's the goal of he doesn't care about the guy's integrity, but he'll say that to make the guy trust him so that he'll continue to be more and more honest about what he'd heard.
On that?
Yes.
All right, thank you, man. Thank you. You need a break? You need a breath?
I could use a smoke.
Okay. I am okay if you want to take a smoke break. I'm going to ask you a favor, though. Do you mind
bargaining,
not talking to anybody while you do that?
I understand.
Are you okay? Can I make that directive with you?
Yes.
Okay. If you promise me not to talk to me, I'm including texts and phones, okay? If you promise that, please go take a smoke break.
All right.
Okay?
So the investigator probably feels like right now he's kind of like cracked this guy's head like pretty good, and he doesn't want him to talk to somebody else that might remind him like, hey dude, you're fucking up. Don't talk about this shit. What the fuck? He probably doesn't want him to get like set back on track because he's basically got like full access to this guy's mind at the moment.
You're right, man?
Yeah, just...
We need to close this door, right?
Yeah, that close.
Man, they're getting this guy.
Okay.
Dude,
I know. Old school as
look
hell.
how old school that is.
And that was part of the things that gave me away was I was wearing the vest.
The really big problem here, okay, and we'll key in on this because this is the big problem with alternative media, is alternative media has no credibility. When people fuck up, you can call CNN fake news or WAPO fake news or New York Times fake news if you want, but when people fuck up there, heads roll. Like when there was like some minor misreporting related to like the Trump collusion Russia stuff about like ballots being changed or whatever for the Russia shit a long time ago. I should remember this specific example, but like there was like some minor like date reporting mishap and editors were fired over that shit or like permanently reassigned. Like that's one of the nice things at the very least, love them or hate them, the mainstream media, if they fuck up, the people that fuck up will be held accountable. The problem with alternative media sources like this is that if you were the Washington Post, everything that this interrogator is doing right now, you would have already done. You would have walked through this. There is no fucking way you're gonna let a key witness on a story just talk to an investigator and everything turns out to be not true. It is your job as an investigative journalist to have done all this work prior. Project Veritas never ever does this, ever. Project Veritas will take you at your word, and then they will fucking run with that story. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about what happens to you. And everything you say might be wrong because they do not do their due diligence when it comes to this type of stuff. If you want a really good example of this, Project Veritas tried to send a fake witness to the Washington Post claiming that they had been raped by Roy Moore, and they had a full recording of the conversation, and the Washington Post sniffed that shit out immediately.
That this is being recorded and video recorded.
The Washington Post recorded this video showing a woman, the Post claims, tried to lure them into publishing a false story about Judge Roy Moore. The Post story says Jamie Phillips contacted them using a false name, alleging she had a sexual relationship with Moore in 1992 when she was just 15. She said the affair ended with an abortion. But during the research process, there were inconsistencies with Phillips' story.
And I'm also, frankly want to know if you're, who you might be working for now.
Washington Post reporters observed Phillips walking into the headquarters of Project Veritas, an organization that targets left-leaning groups and the mainstream media with undercover stings to expose what they call liberal bias.
Does Jamie Phillips work for Project Veritas? Is she your employee?
Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe refused to answer questions about whether Phillips was employed by his group.
The lady talked to her for a little bit, caught her in a few contradictions in her story, and then eventually said like, hey, I'm sorry, but you're not credible. Like, I think you're making all this shit up. And she caught her, and she sent her on her way. Yeah, very easy. Like, this is your homework. If you are a reporter, you should be doing this automatically. You're basically, if you're a reporter, you're like a fucking, you're like an investigator, you're like a policeman, you're like a fucking judge. You have so much work that you do as a reporter where you should already be on top of this stuff. And it's pretty obvious if you pay attention to this that like Project Veritas did none of this. Because the guy has basically walked back his entire story completely, even though James O'Keefe, I don't know if that's me to say,
with the old school symbol.
Didn't do any work.
I'm the only one that wears it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you mind if I talk to you 1 second?
Sure.
Yeah, I've seen it before. I've never worn it.
They definitely ask leading questions and twist the narrative, getting the person to shift their story. Yeah, but the reason why, but if, ideally, if your story is true, people asking you different types of questions probably aren't going to shift the way that you've answered very much. Maybe in a few ways if you trip up or something, but their goal isn't to get you to trip up and fuck up in that like, oh, we gotta do something to do. The goal is that like, I think you've lied, and I think if I ask you around, if I talk around this topic enough, eventually I'm gonna catch you slip up and being inconsistent in your story. That's like what they're trying to do, yeah.
There's one guy in our office that wears it.
Like, even that looks different than that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of you just wasn't the stories as can tell.
I don't understand what Veritas gains from this. It seems to work against their narrative. Are they just banking on people not listening to
people
their
won't
own
listen
content?
to it. You will listen to me on this stream. You will listen to me. It will happen. On this stream, God damn it, my crystal split again. On this stream, I will be debating conservatives in the future that will reference this very recording that have not listened to it. You will hear that happen on this stream. It will. So yeah, they are banking on people not listening to it because people don't.
Why does everybody carry millions of cell phones?
Dude, it's ridiculous.
I don't want to.
I hate being that plugged in. All right, I'm going to start with some outside questions. I'm going to bring us back in again.
Okay.
Again, it's on purpose. If you want to ask me why I'm doing something, you're allowed to. My goal with you is to be transparent, but there is reason I'm doing all this. I'm going to talk Project Veritas for a second.
Okay.
Okay. What sort of Project Veritas is not on trial here.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to understand that. But my concern is not them. My concern is you.
Yes.
That is why I'm here. Okay. And so, what sort of advice?
Remember, okay? Remember, okay? Just follow the money, okay? If you are not paying somebody, they're not there for you, ever, okay? If somebody comes to you to talk to you and they're not on your payroll, they're on somebody else's payroll, they're representing whoever paid them. Always remember that, okay? Have you taken stance on Project Veritas in the past? Are they, in your opinion, trustworthy? Project Veritas is an incredibly trustworthy piece of news. One of the best things about Project Veritas is they have an amazing 100% track record on their major investigations being completely and totally fucking false. So anything Project Veritas says, you can immediately believe the exact opposite with almost no research and be pretty confident that you're correct in your opinion. One of the few things I love about Project Veritas is that if they come out with a claim, I can be almost certain that the opposite claim is true because every major investigation they've been a part of, the Acorn shit, the Planned Parenthood shit, the like anything related to any major investigation has always turned out to be a massive nothing burger, almost every fucking time. No, I'm sorry, I keep saying almost because I'm trying to be clear, be careful. I don't have to be careful. Every major Project Veritas investigation has been total bullshit. Some guy donated $5, said, always the same. Number one, I'm on your side. I know you have nothing to hide. Let's see the record straight. You get me? Cool. Number two, diversion into other topics and mimic empathy. Number three, stress them with serious tone and quick questions. Number four, repeat. Okay. Destiny, you're making things up to fit your argument again. If you want, I mean, like Project Veritas, I'm pretty sure like we can go down the list on Wikipedia for all of their major investigations. Literally none of these turned out to be true. O'Keefe selectively edited and manipulated his recordings of Acorn employees, as well as distorting the chronology. Several journalists and media outlets have expressed regret for not properly scrutinizing and vetting his work. Oh, this is about the Acorn thing. After the videos were released in the fall of 2009, Congress voted to freeze federal funding to Acorn. The Census Bureau and the IRS terminated their contract relationships with Acorn. By December 2009, an external investigation of Acorn was published, which cleared the organization of any illegality, while commenting that its poor management practices contributed to unprofessional actions by some low-level employees. In March 2010, Acorn announced it would dissolve due to loss of funding from government and especially private sources. So when this was investigated externally, none of the Acorn claims were true. On March 1st, 2010, the district attorney for Brooklyn at the time found there was no criminal wrongdoing by the Acorn staff in New York. In late March 2010, Clark Hoyt, the then public editor for the New York Times, reviewed the videos, full transcripts and full audio. Hoyt wrote, the videos were heavily edited. The sequences of some conversations were changed. Some workers seemed concerned for Giles, one advising her to get legal help. In 2 cities, Acorn workers called the police, but the most damning words match the transcripts and audio and do not seem out of context. The California Attorney General's office granted O'Keefe and Giles limited immunity from prosecution in exchange for providing the full, unedited videotapes related to Acorn offices in California. The AG's report was released on April 1st, 2010, concluding that the videos from Acorn offices in Los Angeles, San Diego, and San Bernardino had been severely edited. The report found that there was no evidence of criminal conduct on the part of Acorn employees, blah, 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 blah. So this is the Acorn stuff. O'Keefe and colleagues were arrested in the Hale Boggs Federal Complex in New Orleans in January 2010 and charged with entering federal property under false pretenses with the intent of committing a felony at the office of the United States Senator Mary Landrieu, a Democrat. His 3 fellow activists, who were dressed as telephone repairmen when apprehended, included Robert Flanagan, the son of William Flanagan, acting U.S. Attorney of the Eastern District of Louisiana. The 4 men were charged with malicious intent to damage the phone system. O'Keefe stated that he had entered Landrieu's office to investigate complaints that she was ignoring phone calls from constituents during the debate over President Barack Obama's health care bill. The charges in the case were reduced from a felony to a single misdemeanor count of entering a federal building under false pretenses. O'Keefe and others pled guilty on May 26th. These are videos related to Medicaid stuff in 2011. We've got NPR videos. But here, I'll link this in chat if you ever want to go through it. Veritas always acts like they've broken open like all these huge stories or whatever, but generally their track record is very, very, very poor. The biggest problem with O'Keefe isn't that he's trying to break open videos. It's that he clearly has a political bias because of how heavily edited so much of the released footage is, which like calls into question like, why are you doing this if you're like, yeah. Destiny doesn't care about big tech giving you biased information and censoring right-wingers, but instead focuses on some small conspiracy network. Why would you assume that I don't care about social media and how they might display news to you? Sounds to me like you've never heard of me before, but that's okay. I love how Project Veritas edited the audio on this video.
They're grilling the hell out of me.
How are you feeling right now?
I'm kind of pissed. I feel...
Oh, okay. Do you think this video could be edited? This sounds like a full video. It doesn't sound like anything has been edited here, but there's a YouTube channel called Timba on Toast that has 4-hour-long videos that go in-depth about everything Veritas has done. Oh. Why are there so many Trumples coping in Steven's chat? Because it's YouTube chat. Conservatives have a far more significant voice on YouTube than they do on Twitch, because when Twitch started with politics, I was left-leaning. Still am left-leaning, by the way.
If any media company tries to get a hold of me, to let them know, and they will vet them to see if they were going to write a bad story about me or whatnot. So they kind of go through the whole rigmarole of they've got teams working on stuff like that. They tell me not to talk to anybody really about it. You know,
there are going to be a lot of people wanting to talk to you.
I know. And unless they know about it, they're basically, like I said, they're trying to help me in case of legal ramifications and stuff.
They're not. They just want a story.
My back, I guess you could say.
Okay. I'm going to say something, and this does not reflect my feelings on them one way or the other. Okay. It behooves them to have your back.
Yes.
Because you're giving them an exclusive.
Yes.
Okay. So when they say they're vetting and do everything through them, if that makes you feel comfortable,
yes,
do that. Okay, this is the Russ Strasser advice. Do that, but don't ever feel like you have to do that, because they get a major benefit by keeping you close.
This is true.
Does that make sense to you? But on the flip side of that, they may give you a sense of security that you wouldn't have otherwise, and that has value to it as well. Okay, but I just want you to know that some of their goodwill towards you is self-motivated.
Yes.
As is this investigators, but he won't say that, of course.
So they told you not to talk to anybody. They told you to be very careful about people contacting you, but other news agencies and that sort of thing. Any sort of legal paperwork or anything they have you working towards, or
the affidavit. Okay. That's the only thing. The affidavit saying that.
When did you do the affidavit?
2 or 3 days ago.
And then you went and had it notarized.
Yes.
And you sent it to them.
They've got a guy here now.
They have a guy here.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have regular meetings with him? Any of this you're uncomfortable with?
Yes.
You can tell me you're uncomfortable with.
I do, actually.
Okay. How often do you see him?
About once a day we talk, and if I needed to, it's been kind of like my guidance on what to do with this craziness. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, I've even asked, I was like, what the hell do I do with this money if I don't lose my job? I was like, I mean, I don't know how to give it back. So it's been a thing.
I'm relieved you're already thinking of that. The real complication for you comes in with this money. Because we have to make sure that this money cannot be painted as ill-gotten. Okay? And so
the only reason I even set up that GoFundMe is because James O'Keefe said, okay, if you're going to come out, because at that point I was like, I guess I have to come out because I've noticed weird things with my work. At that point, on Friday, yes, for Friday, when I came in, I watched all the freaking supervisors and the freaking stewards for the union go into the back, and then all of a sudden, one of the stewards comes out and goes, "Hey, I need you to give me that statement for something that happened, a PDI that happened in June."
Union's not on your side?
No.
Okay.
That's what's got me really bothered. That's why I ended up coming out. I didn't want to come out. I just wanted the words to get out there so you guys would show up and that'd be it.
You don't feel like you have any support?
No.
I just missed that real quick about the GoFundMe. You said that they told you.
Yeah, once I came out, they were like, as soon as we, they wanted me to set up the GoFundMe as soon as I came, they dropped the video. That way, when shit goes down, because like I said, they were bringing up old PDIs and whatnot in the office.
But to be very clear, this is not a Project Veritas GoFundMe. This
is for me.
You set it up, and this is people giving you money.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not money they're collecting that they will earmark for you.
Yeah.
This is you're doing that, right?
Yes. They showed me how to set it up, and I was the one clicking the button. They told me to do it though.
Were they going to get any portion of the GoFundMe?
No, not a dime. It was for in the case that I lost my job or something with haywire, and I needed to get that hell out of here.
A lot is on your shoulders. Put one more little speck on your shoulder, because I want you to be aware. I want you to have information and not have everybody telling you. Okay? This is not me condemning Project Veritas. I want you to be really clear on that. Okay? If you are comfortable with them, that is good for you. But they have also set this up so that if there is anything that goes on with this money where they claim that it was ill-gotten or that you're on the hook for it, you understand you're on the hook for this. Their hands are totally off of this. They told you what to do, but they made you do it. So I want you to be, this is me to you, I want you to be exceedingly clear that everything is okay before you do anything with that money.
I don't even plan on it. I can't even touch it. GoFundMe's got it on review, and never, from the moment it started, they put it on review and said you will not be able to withdraw. So I'm not even touching it.
That's because their GoFundMe's protecting themselves.
Yeah.
I just don't want everybody protecting themselves and then Alec be the one holding the bag when somebody wants to say this money was the reason this happened. You understand what I'm saying?
And I've heard people say that on there, and I'm like, I had no idea this would even happen.
I have to tell you, I believe you. I'm in your corner on this. I want you to take care of you.
Yes.
You believe me on that?
I understand.
Because that's why I'm here.
Good to go.
Okay?
Destiny, let me know what you think, but how is it a recant when the interrogator asked him hypothetical about the person who's claiming about said these things but untrue? His response was maybe, not a yes or no. Because if I go to you and I say, listen to me, okay? In the other room, I heard mom tell dad that you are not the actual child. I heard them say that you are somebody else's kid. And then the two siblings talking, right? And the sibling's like, holy shit, really? And then let's say that they start asking questions like, okay, holy fuck, wait, oh my God. What exactly did you hear mom and dad say? And then the guy's like, okay. So I was in the back room and I heard mom say, John, someone else's. I think John is someone else's or something. I heard that. It's like, wait a second, okay. Did they say like John is somebody else's kid? It's like, well, I didn't hear that part. But I heard John and someone else's like really clearly. It's like, well, okay. Could they have said something totally different? Yeah, I guess they could have. I didn't hear like the really big incriminating part. I didn't actually hear that. They could have said something different. Yeah, I guess, yeah. Like, oh, okay. Now we're on totally different levels of what did you actually hear and what actually happened. That's what's happened here.
I want to go back to the ballots.
Okay.
When you, let's do the 5th. The 5th was the day, right? Mm-hmm. After you heard the conversation, you were done casing. Did you go out?
Yeah, I pulled down and I went out. I talked to Zanya first, and I was like, holy shit.
Help me with Zanya. Who's Zanya?
Zanya's one of the other carriers.
Okay.
She's one of the ones I felt like I could trust even bringing it up to.
Okay.
And I told her what I heard, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do. It's freaking me out. So she sent me a different person to contact, but I was already thinking Project Veritas because I'd heard about them. I knew this was the kind of thing they looked into.
Did you work a route?
Huh?
Did you go out do a route that day?
Yes.
Okay, you did go out?
Yes.
Okay. Did you talk to her when you were on the route or before you left?
Before we left.
Gotcha.
We were both out on the bay.
Gotcha. Did your route, then I'm assuming you had ballot mail on that route that day. Is that correct or not correct? You had one. What did you do with that ballot?
Turned it in.
The way you were told to?
Yes.
So you gave it to Chris?
Yes.
Okay.
Do as I'm told, but notice that there's some funky, basically.
Okay. Did you do anything extra?
I wrote on there, but the date, that's it.
What did you write on there?
The date.
Tell me specifically what you wrote on there.
11/05/20.
11/05/20. Where did you write it?
Hidden on the back, where they wouldn't even notice it.
Okay. Is that illegal?
Okay.
Wait, are you allowed to mark those ballot envelopes like that? I thought that for like the post office people, I thought they didn't do anything with like postmarking any of that shit like in office. I've seen several people in chat type that, so that's where I'm getting that from. Maybe that's not true, but it's strange to me to think that like somebody picking up or delivering mail can mark a piece of mail like that you could write on it like that. I could be totally wrong. I'm not sure. I'm just curious about that. It seems strange to me.
But that was on one ballot?
Yes.
Okay. And then you went to Chris and handed him the ballot?
I just put it on his desk.
You didn't see him?
Yeah, he was on the ballot, but I knew where the ballots were. They have a special little box for the ballots at that point.
Any guess how many were in there?
Like 4 or 5 at that point. That was it for that day.
For that day, right.
Yeah.
Do you know, and it's okay if you don't, do you know, let's just go with your ballot that you wrote on, because now I can specifically cite a ballot. This is the one that has been marked. Do you know what happened to that ballot after that? After it went in that bin, do you know what happens in this building with the ballots?
No.
At all? No?
No.
Do you know if Rob has a role with that at all, with what happens to the ballots?
He's gone usually by early.
Do you know if Steph has a role in that?
They're usually gone by 3.
Okay.
My understanding.
So if they're gone by 3, who's like the head supervisor at that point?
The closing supervisor.
And that's Chris?
At that point in time, yes.
Okay. So you know Chris's last name?
Leonardi.
Leonardi?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it changes who's in charge.
Yeah,
of closing.
that's typical actually. But that particular day it was Chris, right? We're not getting Chris in trouble, just so you understand. I am trying to figure out.
He's my landlord.
Oh no, are you serious?
I'm not even kidding you.
Why isn't this fucking thing growing, by the way?
We're really not getting Chris in trouble.
What are the chances of that?
Yeah, he's my landlord. I mean,
have you spoken with him at all?
I have.
And
he said that that's just false. That's all fake. I was like, I'm telling you what I heard. That's all I can tell you is that I heard this. Not sure how much of the conversation, I even told him, I was like, I don't know how much of the conversation I heard. I just know I heard this and it freaked me out.
So Alex, I'm gonna do a quick recap before we go further, okay? Just because, honestly, I thought there was a lot more that you were part of with the ballots going through. And now that I know that you're not, that makes our time together a lot easier. It really focuses your entire involvement in this. And then what I'll do is I'll change my focus to people who actually know what the next step of the ballots were. I'm not gonna put that on your back anymore, okay? But I do want to be very clear on what I am hearing from you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to express to you again what my goal is.
So now he's trying to make sure that both of them are on the same page. He's going to give a statement about he's going to be as precise as possible, the narrowest version of the truth of everything, about what this guy is claiming, in the hopes that he can avoid this guy going on to media and saying like, oh, well, actually, I believe in this, blah, 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 blah. But unfortunately, despite what he's about to say, we're probably going to watch a Veritas video in a minute where he goes back on all of that and just makes the outrageous claims again. But let's see what happens.
My goal is to protect you. And the way I know to protect you is to shave off everything and get the narrowest of truths, so it's the most solid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You're good with me still on that? So this is what I know that I am going to repeat to you.
Hold on.
The Erie Times News independently reviewed the ballots. Only 2 postmarked November 3rd ballots processed through this Erie postal facility after 8 p.m. on November 3rd, disproving claims in original affidavit paragraph 3.
Interesting. I don't know if that's true or not, but okay.
About the 5th of November, okay? You are welcome to correct me at any point. Okay? You come in to do your normal thing on the 5th. You were off on the 4th. You knew that ballots were a big deal, most specifically because Steph was going around bay to bay and doing a little rah-rah speech. In her rah-rah speech, she said, make sure you collect all the ballots on your route, go out there and vote, or voting is good or something. Thank you. Not go out and vote, we're 2 days after.
Every
vote counts, and make sure to turn the ballot mail, take that separately, segregate it, and give it to Chris.
No, well, not specifically his name, but the closing
supervisor, who happened to be Chris.
Yes.
You went about your deal. You were casing the bay that you were given to case that day. Excuse me. And while you were there, you overheard a conversation between Robert and Daniel. Daryl, thank you. Robert and Daryl. And what perked your ears is you heard the words, the 4th, correct? And then you heard the words...
They did the 3rd.
They did the 3rd, but one was for the 4th.
Yes.
That's what you heard.
Yes.
Right? And from that, your very logical assumption was they're talking about backdating postmarks.
Yes.
Am I correct so far? That was an assumption on your part.
It is an assumption.
And what you said to me was, if it came out that a different conversation is actually what had occurred
he would
using
believe
those words, you would believe it.
Yeah, because it's, I mean, I didn't hear the whole conversation.
This is essentially like a full recant. Yeah.
Exactly the words you heard were, can you tell me again?
The 4th, the ballots picked up on the 4th. All but one was marked the 3rd, except for one which was marked the 4th.
Okay, I'm gonna
so
go.
You heard Mark.
I'm gonna go specific with you.
4th?
I'm gonna go specific with you, and then we're gonna go word for word. Okay, it becomes important. I'll explain. You heard ballots on the 4th, and then you heard all were the 3rd, one was the 4th.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm going to get specific with you because that's what you and I talked about, and this is going to be hard because now we're going to splice it word for word, and I'll explain why afterwards. Okay.
I've already got redstone. You can make your pickaxe infinitely durable with unbreaking 5.
Right. If I say that, you would say that is an accurate representation of part of what you heard,
Yes.
right? I'm going to change it. All postmarked on the 3rd, one postmarked on the 4th.
Okay.
That doesn't change the meaning you and I are talking about, but that changes the wording. You and I talked about, you heard
You need
all
5
for the
modifiers to
4th,
that? Oh, okay, never mind.
one for the 3rd, right? Or all for the 3rd, one for the 4th. I didn't mean to do that for you.
I don't want
Did
auto
you-
smelt because I want to be able to duplicate
it's
the or, right?
A perfectly acceptable answer is I don't remember. Did you hear the word postmark?
I do believe somewhere in there, yes, I did hear postmarked. That's why.
Do you know where specifically in that? It's okay to say I
I
don't
know the
remember.
postmarked 4th.
Postmarked 4th,
Yes.
the beginning.
No,
At the end.
at the end, postmarked 4th.
So you heard Mark.
One was postmarked the 4th.
All 3rd, one postmarked 4th.
Yes.
That's what you heard. For sure.
Yes.
You know you heard the word postmark.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Did you ever hear the word backdate?
No.
Did you ever hear the word
Remark.
remark?
No.
Okay.
Remark.
Yep. Go with me on this. Okay. Um,
God damn it, did it split again?
I'm going back to where I was. Okay. So we had said those were the words you heard. We're gonna make sure we say that you heard the word postmark. Okay. Then from that, you assumed what the logical meaning of that would be, right?
Putting 2 and 2 together. Yes.
Right. That's why I'm using the word logical, right?
Yeah.
You assumed what the logical meaning of that would be, and you were concerned.
Yes.
You were concerned enough to immediately speak with, and I forgot her name. Zanya. About it. And after doing your route, you were concerned enough to
Contact Veritas.
stay with me. Let me
Okay.
you were concerned enough to sort of secretly mark the one ballot you got, right? Because you were concerned enough. And then you were concerned enough that you reached out to Project Veritas. Is that an accurate
Yes.
representation of your full involvement in this entire situation?
Yes.
Did I leave anything out?
No.
Okay, because once you contacted Project Veritas, this thing grew its own legs and started running.
Yes.
Am I right with that? And then you've sort of been on reaction mode ever since.
Yes.
Right. Okay. What I'm relieved about is that that was where your involvement stopped, because I didn't know if you had to follow the ballots, whatever this building was doing with the ballots, if you were more involved in that.
No.
But you were not. Your sole involvement was a very concerning conversation, and then you tried to protect one ballot by marking it where people wouldn't know you marked it, right? And you marked it by 11:05:20, right? That's your outwardly involvement. That is it, right? Because everything else was you were listening to staff, or you were maybe consoling in Zanya. I'm not going to get her name right. Is it Zanya? Okay.
Like Tanya with a Z.
Yeah, exactly.
I was saying Sonya with a Z. So my goal here is to protect you, and the best way to protect you is by getting this down in paper. Okay, I'm not going through the whole thing. I'm going to read paragraph 3, and then if we have more after paragraph 3, we'll deal with that. Okay, I'm going to read it aloud so we're all on the same page. Is that fair? All right, paragraph 3. Although, as I understand Pennsylvania law, ballots must be postmarked by 8 p.m. on Election Day, November 3rd, 2020 in Pennsylvania, Postmaster Rob Weisenbach, did I say it right?
Yeah.
Weisenbach, directed my coworkers and I to pick up ballots after Election Day and provide them to him. As discussed more fully below, I heard Weisenbach tell a supervisor at my office that Weisenbach was backdating the postmarks on the ballots to make it appear as though the ballots had been collected on November 3, 2020, despite them in fact being collected on November 4 and possibly later.
That's definitely a lot more specific than what I would have.
Would you agree with me that based on what you and I discussed today, that this paragraph, and I haven't read the rest of the affidavit, but this paragraph specifically, number 3, has a significant amount of interpretation in it?
Yes.
And interpretation is not necessarily fact. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. And so would you agree that if this paragraph were to reflect a very narrow truth that is 100% accurate, that it probably should be amended or caveated in some way?
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like us to go through this and do the amendments and caveats, or is him just acknowledging that this is a lot of interpretation and not necessarily fact? Is that significant?
It was written up by Veritas' lawyer.
That's fair. That's fair.
Of course it was.
But just so I'm getting this correct, as we sit here today, you wouldn't swear to that paragraph.
At this point, no.
Okay.
I didn't even wasn't, when we were talking about it in May.
I'm going to get a little legal on you for a second. And I'm actually very glad that Agent Klein brought this up, because again, this is an opportunity for us to protect you. I absolutely believe you 1,000% that their lawyers wrote this up. And what they did is they took your story and they wrote it up as they understood you saying it. The problem with affidavits are, although they are a legal document, they are something that you sign. And so when you sign and notarize an affidavit, what you are saying is, this is 100% accurate.
Okay.
These can be used as my words. That's why my signature is here. Okay? So I just want you to understand that although someone else wrote it,
it sounds like the Project Veritas guys have been more coercive than this guy. Well, this guy is not. I don't know if I would say that this guy's being coercive at all. I don't think he's being coercive. He's just. The goal is to stress somebody out enough to the point to where they feel compelled to tell you the truth, kind of. If that makes sense. Is this water gonna flow? Wait, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to drain water like it's fucking Terraria. This isn't gonna work. But yeah, my guess is going to be that when we listen later to the Project Veritas guys, if I'm trying to figure out if you're telling me the truth on something, or if I really want to find out what you think about something, my goal is going to be to avoid priming you as much as possible. So let's say, for instance, I want to know how you really feel about the band Blink-182, right? There are a few ways that I can ask this question. I can say, like, one, what do you think about Blink-182? It's a pretty neutral question. Or another way I could do it is, I fucking love Blink-182, like my favorite fucking band. What do you think about Blink-182? Depending on the person's predisposition towards me, I'm going to get a very different response to both of those questions. Because if the person likes me, and I've told him that Blink-182 is my favorite band, he's probably going to caveat his answer quite a bit, or he's just going to full and agree with me. It's going to be really hard to figure out, well, what is your true opinion on it when I prime the answer in that way. So with the way that Project Veritas probably interviews people, there's a good chance, just knowing how much of a piece of shit James O'Keefe is that he's like, so did you see them do this? Like, you know these fuckers want to fuck the election up, right? Like, yeah, they were probably talking about this, right? Like, dude, sign this affidavit so that we can go public and expose them, blah, blah. That's going to be my guess. Now, we'll watch O'Keefe in the next video and see how he handles it, but like, that's going to be my guess for how they approach these types of things.
You signed it as being accurate. You're okay. You're okay. All right? Because that's why I wanted to talk to you. Because I don't want you swept up in all this when later down the road you're left holding the bag and people are being like, we're going to address this today.
Also, you should ignore what I'm about to say, okay? Because most of the time you don't want to risk it. But it might be true in this case that this investigator, assuming the post office guy does caveat his statement correctly, might have actually saved him a great deal of fuckery, potentially. Because if the post office guy is actually like hardcore ready to go perjure himself based on just an interpretation of things rather than what actually did happen, it is possible that this conversation with this investigator, if he took it to heart, might have actually saved him a great deal of trouble down the line. Maybe, but...
One of the ways we're going to address it that I recommend, I'm not going to force you to do anything, is first and foremost, right now, I may change my mind in 5 minutes, but right now I'm not going to do a polygraph with you.
Okay.
Okay? Right now, I think we are better off if we do a updated signed statement.
Okay.
Are you with me on that?
I understand.
Do you agree with me on that?
Yes.
Do you understand it's voluntary?
Yes.
Okay, but do you understand how this
Will save my ass, yes.
will? Your words, yes.
Yes, but it's true at this point because, yes, you're
I
right.
want to do...
I didn't even think too much on it when I was reading.
Notice how the investigator now, and this is like the dream goal. Dude, I don't know who this guy is, but this guy has done a very, very, very good job at totally breaking this apart. This feels like such a textbook, like this is what they would tell you like in the academy, how to completely break down a person and get like exactly what you need, because it feels like everything has been 100% like by the book. And he's done a very good job doing anything. But now he's got it so that the other guy is almost excited to clarify or correct his statement based on what's been said during the interview, right? Like, notice how the guy's not like, I need you to write down these words, but he's using things that leave the other person up to being like so much more. Oh fuck! I want to give a really good example during the whole Me Too shit, but I can't because it's personal. But when you're trying to get somebody to do something, rather than telling them what they should do, what it's really good to do is to carve a path out towards that and provide a virtue that they want to embody, where that virtue leads them down that path. Does that make sense? It doesn't. Let me explain this, right? Instead of saying, I need you to sign this affidavit and clarify your statements in a different way so that we know that you're not lying. Instead, it's better to say, wouldn't it be better to update this to be more reflective of like the truth? Or wouldn't it be really good if we could make sure that we're being honest or truthful or have integrity about our statements? Like, yeah, well, oh yeah, I'm honest. I have integrity. Like, I want to tell the truth. Yeah, dude, we should update the affidavit, right? Well, now that you've given them a virtue to latch onto and you've kind of like dug out the path towards where they ought to go, well, when you give them the virtue, they'll latch onto it and it's like, yeah, I want to update this. Yeah, I want to change it. Now it feels like it's almost their idea to change it, which is kind of like what we've seen happen here, right?
I understand.
It's a lot of lawyering.
It's a lot of lawyering, and you can get swept up. Okay. I think what I'm going to do, and Agent Klein, you direct me if you think this is overkill. I think I'm going to read each of these paragraphs aloud.
Okay.
And I think that we are going to have Agent Klein make notes from what you say, not from what I say. From what you say probably should be amended or caveated in each paragraph. And then we'll decide what you should put in your updated statement. But at a minimum, I want to go paragraph by paragraph and we'll number them. And I want Agent Klein to write down what you feel could make it more accurate. Okay. You go with me on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is not backing you in a corner. I'm still here with you. Okay? Okay. Tell me you're okay.
I'm all right.
Do you need to take a breath?
Good.
Okay. You're looking overwhelmed.
He's applying extreme pressure and offering him the illusion of control over narrative in a good way out that preserves his character.
Yeah. Okay. The preserving the character is really important, and he's got a personal tie in too. So when he's saying like, dude, I know that you have high integrity. You were in the fucking military. And not only were you just in the military, after you got out, you signed up for the fucking guard or the reserves or whatever he said. Like, damn, I know you're of high character, right? I was in the military too, like, right? Yeah, like he's establishing that, right? Once you've established that like this is an issue of character, you're kind of saying that like, if you disagree with me, it's almost kind of like your character is on trial. Like, you want to be honest, don't you? Like, we both know that you're like a military man, you serve your country. Like, you want to be honest, right? You don't want to lie about shit. You don't want to be misrepresented, right? You should want to change, right? Yeah, it's all of this.
I want to set up a written statement that I will swear you to.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
That's fine.
There are several things I want to put in there. Okay. I think a lot of what we are correcting for the affidavit will go in there. Do you agree, Agent Klein?
Yes.
Okay. I think before all of that, we need to be very specific about what that narrow truth is, that no exaggeration, no assumption, narrow truth that we've been talking about. And so I think that needs to go in there. Exactly the words we heard, I say we, you heard, that we discussed, and whatnot, and get that conversation on paper, okay? So that the assumptions and anything that is overblown can stop with that, okay? The other thing I want to do is I want to validate your concerns. And I do that for a specific reason too, because I want people to know that you are working off of a sense of duty and obligation, not out of any sort of retribution or vengeance or just trying to cause trouble. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I want you to put in there what was odd, the not putting it in the raw, to use the term I learned today, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of her name, Steph's little motivational speech after the fact, after voting day was done. I want you to put those in there so people understand that you had a genuine concern, but that concern was fueled by logical assumptions. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. Are you willing to do that?
Yeah.
That may take a bit, but I feel like as much as you can put down and as close to that narrow truth as we can keep it, is what's going to be most beneficial.
Okay.
Okay. You want to add anything?
No.
Okay.
2 more minutes.
Like I said, I'm going to be official now because I'm being recorded. I have to sound official.
Sorry.
That was a joke. I am making the decision not to offer you a polygraph. Okay? I feel
Do I really
like,
need to go in one direction? Can it tell?
Polygraphs can be very beneficial when there's a huge question mark. I don't think there's a huge question mark here. You heard something, and you were very honest with me when you said, this is what I believed that meant. Okay? And so I don't feel like there's anything the polygraph can add here or contribute. So as a polygraph examiner, I'm taking that off the table.
Roger.
But I do want to offer you a written statement.
Good to go.
Okay? You have that. Of course, we can't do anything simply, so it's going to be a form we fill out and before you start writing. We are going to ask that you write it so that it's in your words and your handwriting so that it doesn't come back that
Him not going
Russ wrote this
insane,
for you.
right? They literally protected him from the dumb statements in that affidavit by narrowing down his statements and reframing the statements to be a belief and not real events. Chap
Probably.
think the feds are screwing but they're not, right?
No, I think the guy's probably benefited here since it doesn't seem like he did anything too fucked or too wrong. Maybe, but... I want to be done with this so we can see his Project
Because,
Veritas
as you
video.
can see, Russ may have the best intentions for Alex and the whole world, but as you can see with the Project Veritas affidavit, it may actually say something different than what you intended to,
Yes.
because someone else was writing it. And I want this to come from you.
Oh, that makes sense.
Okay?
Yeah.
This is your chance to get your words into his investigation.
Roger.
And that's why I think it's so important.
And again, the only reason I came forward was so that an investigation would begin. Because
I absolutely
honestly,
believe you. And I want you to know, continue.
Good to go.
Just not with you.
Rich, I just want to make sure. This is like a voicemail. We're not on the phone.
No, it's. I'll show you.
Jesus.
Just voice recorder.
Got it.
And I've been recording up all day. That's the thing.
Okay.
In case somebody was harassing me or something happened, I just.
Okay, but you also understand why we're going to get permission for that, right?
Yeah,
Because,
I understand.
And you understand that they may come back and not give permission for that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You taking a smoke break?
Yeah.
Yeah, this will take a minute, so why don't you go do that, then we'll start up with the statement. Do you want this with you or leave it here so you know what we're saying?
Yeah.
Either way is fine
you're
with me.
good. I don't.
All right. Well, we got all that. Now let's see. How does he walk it back? Here we go.
How are you feeling right now?
I'm kind of pissed. I feel like I just got played.
And I heard him say to the supervisor that they messed up yesterday. I was like, oh, what did they mess up on? And he told the supervisor that they had postmarked one of the ballots for the 4th instead of the 3rd, because they were supposed to put them for the 3rd.
And so let me make good on that promise right away. Okay, this storm is getting crazy, right? And it's out of a lot of people's control. And so the reason they called me in is to try to harness that storm, try to reel it back in before it gets really crazy. Okay?
I understand.
Because we have senators involved, we have the Department of Justice involved, we have all
Trump's lawyers team's gotten a hold of me.
I'm not. Well, I am actually. I am trying to twist you a little bit because in that, believe it or not, your mind will kick in.
Okay.
We like to control our mind, and when we do that, we can convince ourselves of a
So they're
mind.
just taking out like
But when you're
the
under
things that
a
make
little
it
bit of
sound like
stress,
he's trying to like get the guy to lie or whatever.
Your mind can be a little bit clearer. And we're going to do a different exercise too to make your mind a little bit clearer. Okay?
Good to go.
So, but this is all on purpose.
Roger.
I'm not scaring you, but I am scaring you.
It seems like they were trying to make me distrust y'all. And at the same time, it kind of affected, but at the same time, I was like, no, these guys have had my back since the get-go. So that's why I continued.
Do you think these federal agents have your back?
At this point, no. Hell
Do you
no.
think these federal agents are really interested in investigating fraud?
Honestly, I don't think they are.
And in fact, you heard Weisenberg tell a supervisor they were backdating the ballots to make it appear they've been collected on November 3rd. You still stand by that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now he's totally changing it. Yeah. And then the sad thing is that if this guy could get totally fucked if they actually get him in front of a court to change completely what he was saying too. But I mean, James doesn't give a fuck about this guy, right? I'm trying to think of how I feel about the ethics of telling somebody, hey, I need you to come and talk to me, or you've got to talk to me and you're going to go big with this. But listen, okay, now I know you're scared, but what we can do is we could help you set up a GoFundMe. And then that would like get a lot of the heat off your back because like you can get a lot of money from that, right? I wonder if that, I don't know how I feel about that. That seems a little bit iffy to me. Why do so many Project Veritas right-wing whistleblowers land GoFundMe paydays this week as dubious claims? What organization posted? All of the whistleblowers establish, According to an analysis conducted by the Daily Dot, O'Keefe's alleged whistleblowers almost all established crowdfunding pages hyped by Project Veritas within days and hours of going public with their allegations. Here's something that I'm curious about. Is there a link right now? You guys would know this in chat. Has Project Veritas tweeted out any of those GoFundMes? Don't say yes, give me a link. I don't know why you guys are saying yes, like I would trust any of you motherfuckers. Show me a link, I'm curious. Why wouldn't they? Because it's a huge breach of like ethics. It's very fucking weird to be like, if you come on the record with me for this story, you'll get a lot of fucking money for it. That's like that's a pretty obvious no-no. You probably shouldn't be paying for stories like that, directly or indirectly. Breaking GoFundMe removes Richard Hopkins page. Go here to support him. Oh yeah, damn. Give, send, go. $155,000. Holy shit. Oh yeah, they do link it. Damn. Even on Facebook. Holy shit.
Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.
Okay. TikTok links are banned. How do I do it? RTBA. Okay,